Alright YouTube, so we have another news roundup for Fallout 76. We have new info on looting, on PvP, a new anti-griefing mechanic. We learned about the microtransaction currency for Fallout 76. A lot of this info, of course, where do you think it came from? Pete Hines' Twitter, but not all of it is. So let's just hop right into it. The first thing we're going to look at is the updated FAQ on Bethesda.net, and this question is about the new microtransaction currency, and it says, I saw footage of players earning atoms while playing. What are atoms? And the answer is, while you play Fallout 76, you'll earn a currency called atoms by completing various gameplay challenges and achievements. This currency can be used to acquire in-game cosmetic customization items for your character, earnable entirely by playing the game. Once Fallout 76 officially launches on November 14th, atoms can also be purchased separately for real money if you so choose. So a couple of things here. For starters, I don't recall seeing any gameplay of a character earning atoms, but maybe it's somewhere in that little bit of gameplay that we have so far for the game, but that's something I've missed this entire time. Don't know where this person saw somebody collecting atoms. Secondly, I find it kind of weird that they created a new currency for microtransactions for this game when they already have Creation Club that they could be using. My only thought is maybe they don't want the game associated with Creation Club because there's a lot of negativity surrounding that because a lot of people view it as paid mods, which is kind of a fair thing, I guess. I had to come back and actually add this part because I forgot to mention it when we're talking about the microtransactions, is it would have made more sense to still be Creation Club and Creation Club credits because those transfer from game to game, at least on PC and Xbox. So you could have actually, if you had leftover credits, you could save them up for Fallout 76. You could be buying Creation Club credits now for Fallout 76. And you could also earn the credits in-game in Fallout 76, but you could take those points and buy stuff for Skyrim SE or for Fallout 4 if you wanted to. It's just kind of a dumb decision to create an entirely new currency for this game. This is kind of a quicker one, but I think it's important because some people might not know this. The beta is going to be completely separate from the full game on consoles. You're going to have to re-download Fallout 76 on November 14th, which is kind of crazy because the beta itself is like approximately 45 gigabytes, which means when the game launches, we're going to have to download another 45 gigabytes. And for a lot of us out there, we have terrible internet. It's going to be a long download twice. Something else we learned from this FAQ is that you're actually going to need a Bethesda.net account to play the beta. I don't know if it's going to be required to play the full game, but this isn't really that big of a deal. I'm sure a lot of you out there already have one. If you don't, you can make one now. I have one because of Fallout 4, like the mods or whatever. And as the answer says, you can actually set one up in-game once we play the beta, so it's not really a big issue, but if you want to get it out of the way, you could make it now in case you don't already have one. So on to Uncle Pete's Twitter replies where we get all the information for Fallout 76 because Bethesda doesn't know what the hell they're doing. This is one of the PvP details, and we learned with this reply that you can actually fast travel away from another player while they're shooting at you. Now, to clarify, this is when somebody's shooting at you, but y'all aren't in PvP. When they're trying to murder you, whenever you're not even trying to fight them and they're just firing at you, you can just fast travel away from that situation, which is a question we've all been wondering because we weren't entirely sure. Now, if you fire back and y'all are actually in PvP doing full damage to each other, I'd assume they'd be labeled as an enemy and you probably couldn't fast travel away from that situation. This is some good information that we've been wondering for a while. The person essentially asked behind, if there's two groups of players and one person from each group get into combat with each other, is everybody involved in combat? To which Pete Hines replies, individuals engage with individuals. If your group members wanted to participate, they could. If someone in your group decides to murder someone and you don't participate, only they get marked as a murderer. Other folks in the group could even take them out and claim the bounty. So like I said previously, this is a question we've had for a while now when it comes to grouping up together. If somebody in your group is a douchebag trying to PvP all the time, do you get dragged into combat as well? And you don't. So that's great information. This is kind of a non-answer, but it could also be an answer. This person asked Pete Hines how long the being wanted lasts, and Pete Hines' answer is that he's not even sure that it ever goes away. So, theoretically, if this does follow you around until somebody kills you and collects the bounty, this could be another anti-griefing mechanic. But that's not actually the anti-griefing mechanic I was talking about at the beginning of the video. This person tweets Pete Hines with a question that I asked a long time ago. It says, I was wondering what would happen if I were to kill a player marked as a murderer, but they have no caps on them. What would the bounty be? And Pete Hines replies with, in that case, I don't think you get the additional caps reward. You get a basic reward, but not a bounty from them. But they do receive a debuff penalty. The amount of damage they can do to anything gets lowered for some amount of time. And he also goes on to clarify in response to another tweet that it is only for people who do not have the caps to pay for a bounty whenever somebody tries to collect it on them. To me, personally, this debuff should be a thing that happens if you murder somebody at all. It shouldn't just be if you can't pay the bounty, because this would super incentivize people to not actually go around murdering. Because Because if the bounty does follow you around until it's collected and you do less damage to everything, plus you're on the radar for everybody, you can't see other players, like that's a lot of things that are downsides to murdering another player, and I could see people doing it a lot less if the debuff happened every time you murdered another player. So this person asked behind a pretty common question that we've seen a million times. You know, do loot containers have a set amount of loot? Is it first come, first serve? If I loot it, can my friend loot it? Which we all know, of course not. Loot in containers is instant. But it's in his reply where we get new information where he says, in general, items sitting around in the world, e.g. a roll of duct tape on a table, is not. And if someone grabs it, others can't. So yeah, shit sitting on tables, shelves, things on the ground, whatever the case, that is first come, first serve. But of course, at some point, the loot will respawn in that area, probably when you guys leave or whatever the case. So it's not like a forever thing. There's not a limited amount of supplies in the world sitting out in the open. But I like this. I like that some loot in the game is going to be first come, first serve. That way, like, if you get to a house before somebody, you can loot at least the things on the shelves before them. And then whatever there's containers, that's, you know, you both get something. The next few things we're going to talk about, we don't even need to put anything on screen. For starters, crossplay. It's something that a lot of people are talking about recently. PS4, of course, Sony more specifically, allowed crossplay with Fortnite so that you can play Fortnite with people on Xbox, PC, and all that other shit. A lot of people are like, man, does that mean crossplay is going to happen for Fallout 76? And the simple answer is no. Like, we've known that for a long time. I did a video a couple weeks, maybe a month or two ago. I don't know how long it's been about them not doing crossplay. Like, we've known this for a long time. Now, what we've heard from most developers is that it's a pretty simple thing to allow crossplay. Like, we've heard literally that it's a flip of a switch and you can be playing Xbox with PlayStation people. And a lot of people are attacking Bethesda and Pete Hines because they're talking about, you know, they're not really focused on crossplay right now. Ultimately, it doesn't even matter if Bethesda or Pete Hines or whatever wants crossplay. It's all down to Sony. And what people don't seem to realize is, yeah, they allowed crossplay for Fortnite. That's a big step. But what a lot of people need to realize is that Fortnite is the anomaly. Fortnite is an absolute juggernaut right now. It is the biggest game in the entire world currently. So yeah, of course they allowed crossplay for it inevitably. And that still took a year. Fortnite's been out for roughly a year or something. And look, I'm not even saying that crossplay is not going to happen, and even Pete Hines didn't say that it's never going to happen. It's just not their focus right now. Everybody's like, the game's not even to the beta yet, and everybody's like, crossplay, mods, private servers, offline mode. It's like, guys, let the game come out. I'm sure if Sony will allow it, there will be crossplay at some point in time. I think that they should have done crossplay with, you know, Xbox and PC since that is allowed, but their argument, I guess, according to Pete Hines, is that if they can't do it for everybody, they didn't want to do it at all. The other bit of news is that we're going to get a lot of gameplay coming up, which isn't exactly news because we already kind of knew that because we know that there's a bunch of people going to this capture event this weekend and they can record essentially as much as they want. So we're going to have tons of gameplay coming at us. But it's not even just that. Like, that's something we already were aware of. But on the beta article they dropped, it says, as you wait for beta to begin, we will be showcasing much more of the game in the next few weeks, including tips for multiplayer, wasteland survival, character builds, and customization, and more. Plus gameplay, lots and lots of gameplay. Keep an eye on the Fallout website and social channels for news and updates about Fallout 76. So yeah, in the coming weeks up to the beta, there's going to be a lot of Fallout 76 information. Of course, this weekend, again, these YouTubers and other, like, the press and stuff are getting to play the game and capture gameplay. And I'm very, very interested in that because that's something we've talked about before in a previous video, and I'm sure other people have mentioned it too. I just want raw gameplay. I don't care what it's about. I just want to see somebody playing the game, exploring, looting houses, getting into fights, hitting the customization tables, building a settlement, which I'm not even that interested in, but I want to see everything. I just want to see some raw gameplay for a long time. And I'm hoping that's what these YouTubers and stuff will get for us. And on the other side of that, I want official gameplay and stuff from Bethesda as well, showcasing some of the new features and things for the game. And they're talking about showcasing, you know, multiplayer tips, wasteland survival tips, I guess, or something. I don't know what they mean by that exactly. And, of course, character builds. This is something I'm very interested in for this game because I think this game has a very high ceiling for character builds because it is a multiplayer game. You can roleplay a lot better. Like, you could, you know, you're in a group of you and your friends, and you can actually roleplay as a healer now, which you couldn't really do in past Fallout games. You could, you're going to heal dog meat? You're going to heal one of your companions or something? Like, you can be an actual healer in this game, which is going to be pretty interesting. You can also roleplay as a trader if you want to, which you couldn't really be in the previous Fallout games. You could really just max out your barter, that's kind of it, but you can actually roleplay as a trader, take perks that'll help you with buying and selling and, like, crafting and other things like that. You can also be a mercenary, which isn't really a character build because it'll just be the regular you, but you can roleplay as a mercenary. You can go around helping, you know, smaller, weaker characters and players and stuff like that. Like, hey man, hook me up with some caps and I'll help you with this quest and things like that, which you obviously could never do in the Fallout series. So I think this game has a really high ceiling for character builds and roleplaying. I'm really excited to play it. Anyways, guys, that'll wrap up the video. It ended up being a little bit longer than I planned. I know a lot of YouTubers shoot for that glorious 10-minute mark, but I actually don't like my videos to be that long. For starters, I like them to be a little bit shorter and easier to digest, but also it's just my shitty internet, so it takes a long time to upload if it's too long. But either way, hopefully the video was informative for you guys. A lot of this information, actually all of it, is new to me, so I'm going to assume it's new to a lot of you, unless you've seen some other YouTuber talk about it, which is also possible. Your boy makes other videos. It takes me a while to get around to stuff. Hopefully you guys went on to enjoy the video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, turn on notifications, follow me on Twitter at TheDashingDavid, add my Discord, links to my social networks are in the description, and in the outro. Later, guys.
Give me forever for a while, give me forever for a while. Quit acting like a baby, or at least less like a